Hey, welcome back to Armchair Architects as part of the Azure Enablement Show. I'm sad to say this is the last episode of this season, but the good news is this ending is on a crucial topic, which is what's the connection between curiosity and architecture? So join us. Hey, so we're back with Uli and Eric for the last episode in this season of the Azure Enablement Show's Armchair Architects. And let's do a really quick sort of capstone question that I've always wanted to know about, ironically. What I want to do is I'd like to talk a little about the role of curiosity in architecture, right? I mean, everybody's watching this. They must have some reason to be watching this. But can you give your two or three best points about curiosity and architecture here, just as a way of like, here's something you architectural audience would be interested in, to understand like how to create it, how to nurture it, what role it has. Any of those things I think would be super cool, because I think it's got to have a strong role just based on all the talking that we've done so far in this series. So
yeah. Sure. So listen, I don't mean to wax philosophical, but I think that there's a direct link between curiosity and humility. And I think humility is an important ingredient in certainly collaboration across the board, but especially in the architecture discipline. Because in the architecture discipline, there's no other discipline that I can think of in which you go from thinking that you know a lot, and you certainly probably do, to the next day being like, I've never heard of that. And now let me learn about it. And if you're not humble and you're not curious, you might tend to push things away and continue to be enamored with your past successes and the things that you've done and the technologies that you're familiar with. And that certainly is a human characteristic that we all are probably subject to. But I think curiosity helps us break out of that perspective. And so curiosity, I think, is part of something that you should try to nurture. It doesn't come easy to us as architects or even the broader technical community, because our goal is to excise ambiguity, fill it with precision, hopefully true precision and not false precision, and then be the answer people. And if we're always the answer people, we get used to being the incumbent answer person, and then we lose that ability to be curious. And so when new things come along, we tend to push them away instead of asking, well, what is this? Is this an old thing that's new? Is this a new thing that's being run through the square, like with Uli's example of pigs being run through the squares to determine if they're new or what have you? So I think that there's a concept of just asking yourself and looking after your own curiosity, and I think that will lead to greater collaboration and better architecture.
Okay, I'd like Uli's answer to this question, but I think it's really important we describe what we're talking about with pigs and squares, just so.
Yeah, he can do it better.
Because I don't think people understood that we had a conversation off camera. Uli, what is he talking about with pigs and squares? And then let's get back to curiosity, just so we're not leaving people in the dark here.
So my German friends will understand this. So whenever in Germany something brand new concept, idea, topic comes, it's the latest pig that's being run through town. Okay. And that's really a literal translation of a German saying. And I use it to always say, yes, this is the latest trend we are seeing. And now everybody gets excited. You can use the Gartner term of a hype cycle. That's effectively happening. Same idea. It's just less cute. I think looking at a pig being run through town is always an interesting one. So that's where that comes from.
Okay, so let's shift off of the porcine stuff and go more directly to curiosity. Uli, yes. What's the role of curiosity for an architect?
For me, it's a invaluable and necessary trait. I go a little bit further than Eric. If you as an architect are not curious about learning and continuous learning, which is obviously a very hard thing to do, balancing what you know with balancing what you don't know, which is most likely way bigger than you imagine, because even with decades of experience, I always feel that there's so much more to learn that I have no idea about. And that is really critical. Architecture is ultimately a composition activity. You compose capabilities and so forth into an end-to-end solution. And in order to be right about solving the business problem, you have to understand the business side, which always changes. You have to understand the technology side, which changes even faster. There's always something new going on. The open source community is incredibly productive, and so forth. I learn something new every day. What? Okay, interesting. And so if you're not curious, you're not going to be a good architect, because you're too much riding that old horse that you always have been ridden to work. And that's the way to do it. And we had the previous episode was talking about concentration risk. A non-curious architect will get you into the concentration risk problem.
Okay, so I got to say that I think this is a splendid place to end season 3 of Armchair Architects, with just telling people to stay curious. And so with that, I want to thank you, Uli. I want to thank you, Eric, and I want to thank everybody who's watched this entire season. If you haven't, or go back, watch the previous season, thank you all for watching, and take care. And maybe we'll see you again on another episode of the Armchair Architects as part of the Azure Enablement Show.